Hello everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I'm your host, Ed Troxel, aka Tech Man, and I am your tech expert and business advisor. That's right. I help teach you how to start and run an online business without letting the tech hold you back. Everything from business advising to building websites to social media and tech support. I got you covered. I make online business easy. You can find out all about me at edtroxelcreative.com after the show. So let me give you a little rundown for those who are new, how the show works. If you're a returning viewer, awesome, love it. Say hello in the comments, jump in there, even if you're watching the replay. For those who are new, welcome. This is a weekly talk show where we talk about business, tech, and the user experience, all things close to my heart and should be yours as well, because if you want to run an online business, you have to have these things in place, especially the user experience. So we talk a lot about that here on the show. We go live on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch all of the replays on my blog, which is over at edtroxelcreative.com. And in fact, if you sign up to be on my email list, which is free, you just can do that over there at edtroxelcreative.com. When you sign up, I send out actually one email a week, and it gives you business tips as well as tech tips. And then I also include the latest episodes, both from Ed Talk TV and Ed Talk Radio. Wait, what? Ed Talk Radio? What's that? Well, I'm glad you asked. Ed Talk Radio is my podcast. So it's similar to this show in terms of it's all about the conversations worth having, but the podcast is a lot quicker and shorter and just me really giving you tips. So that's why I brought the podcast back. It's been there, but I'm starting to be more active with it. But here's the catch. I don't have a set schedule for my podcast. Yeah, so that's why you have to subscribe in iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts, because I like to keep it interesting. I like to go with the flow, and when I'm feeling it, that's when I record and that's when I put it out there. So that's where it's at. Midori, welcome. So glad to see you. Yeah, Ed Talk Radio. I know you guys are loving it, and I will tell you that it's great to have both platforms. So if we take a step back as a business owner, or some of you may be soon to be business owners, we have to understand that there is so much power in these devices. And if you can't tell what I'm holding, it's an iPhone. You may have an Android, that's fine too. But we have so much power in our hand, so much free power that we can utilize for our business, for making a business, for running our businesses. And we just need someone like myself to come in and help. And that's what this show's about. That's what Ed Talk Radio is about. And that's actually all of my work. That's what I do, is help people and organizations learn how to effectively use technology and not let it hold them up. Because let's face it, technology wants to hold us back, right? It's great and everything, but a lot of the times we don't know how it works, or it works and then something breaks, or whatever the case may be. So we have to just really fine tune things and pay attention to what we want to do and ask those questions. And so that's what we do here on the show. Kind of went on a side subject there, but that's okay. So having live platform like this here on Facebook, even if you're watching the replay, be sure to say hello in the comments, because I'm really big on engagement. If you're new, show up, deliver, and engage. Those are my 3 core values. That's what I teach you how to do here online. That's going to increase your online presence as well as increase your revenue. Yeah, we all like that, huh? I bet your ears perked up. You're like, wait, what? I heard revenue. Yeah, it's all about that organic growth. And the way you do that is by implementing these 3 steps and being able to connect with your audience, both live and on the replay. So today, we're going to start with some random news. For those who are new, we have random news at the beginning. I have quite a few articles I want to get through with you. And then we're going to jump into the main topic for today, which is the battle of live broadcasting, because it's starting to get crowded. I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. But do you feel like social media is just becoming very crowded? We're in one of those, clubs or restaurants where we just can't move. We're kind of like this, and we're like, oh, hi. Okay, yep, one drink, please. Do you feel like that on social media? And let me know in the comments, and take it to the next level. What about live broadcasting? How many of you are feeling like this whole live broadcasting thing is so overwhelming? especially because there's more than one. And we're going to talk about that, but not yet, not yet. So even if you're watching the replay, let me know what you think about that. I'm going to share my screen because, let's face it, we have some cool technology that lets us do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Now, because Valentine's Day is coming up and because we like to have random things in random news, take a look at this. Quit bugging me. So in El Paso, this zoo came up with this idea for being able to take your ex's name. Midori, you're probably going to like this one. For those who don't know, Midori is a good friend of mine who is a marriage and relationship coach, so definitely check her out. But this is a fun one, and what they're doing, and I thought this was for money, but I haven't seen anything about money. This is just for fun and free publicity, free press, because they were featured in the news and they've gotten over 6.2 thousand comments and 7,000 shares. You guys, listen to this. Quit bugging me. So because Valentine's Day, the zoo, and then they have these cockroaches, and they want you to be able to send in the name of your ex to then put on these cockroaches, and then they're going to have this, and you can't really see, so let me see if I can bring this up more. Zoom in, if we can. Okay, well, I'll just move my banner. There you go. So watch on February 14th. So on Valentine's Day, they're going to use the power of social media, Facebook Live, which is free, to stream through their webcam there, the meerkat eating the cockroaches that you've put your ex's names on. Like, it's weird. I'm not saying that that's a great idea, but I'm just saying pay attention to how things develop, right? They're a zoo, they have the cockroaches, they know that Valentine's Day is coming up, they know there's a lot of people that are not too happy about that, and then they made this a fun, engaging way to reach their audience and to get new people to know about them. They're expanding because they got news coverage, they got all these shares, they got all these comments. I mean, it's crazy. So these are the types of things that you want to pay attention to on social media. When you're browsing, when you're just scrolling through, these are the types of things that you want to pay attention to. Now, because Valentine's Day is coming up, we have one more story in random news here. How many of you, even if you're watching the replay, welcome to all those joining, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you would prefer to get rid of the roses, or I should say, would like to get rid of the roses, get rid of the chocolate? You're past that. What you want this Valentine's Day is a pickle bouquet. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Crickets? Yeah. Well, there's one company here in the US who has created this. For $45, you can have a pickle bouquet. And I want to read to you what they said, because this is the interesting part. They said, we know that there are a lot of pickle lovers out there that would love nothing more than to get a Valentine's Day gift loaded with their favorite snack. So not only are they creating this pickle bouquet, but they're saying the reason for it is because they know people love pickles. I, for one, don't, but this is something that apparently is popular. I don't know how you would feel getting a pickle bouquet, but, it could be worse. And then they go on to say that not only is a pickle bouquet more beautiful than a dozen red roses and healthier, so they're tapping into these different emotions, these different connections that you have, healthier than a standard box of chocolate, it's also more creative. Do you see what they did there? They tied in the creativity part. So it's not just about the pickles. It's not just about the pickle bouquet, but it's about the whole experience, the whole creativity behind it. Again, we talk a lot about experiences. And if you haven't listened to Ed Talk Radio, my podcast, the latest episode actually talks about that. And we're going to kind of touch on that in a second in our next story. But experiences are huge, and you have to ask yourself, what kind of experience are you providing to your audience, to your customers, to your potential customers? So you want to keep that in mind. So while this may not be for me or you, you got to give the company credit for being able to be creative and to take their product and get that exposure, free exposure there. Now, we talked a lot on this show last year about Toys R Us. Well, Toys R Us is now back in the news. Have you heard about this? Let me know, even if you're watching the replay, in the comments there. But Toys R Us is now back in the news, and they're coming back somewhat. We don't know full details on this. And I did talk about this in Ed Talk Radio, the latest podcast episode. But I want to touch on this just for a minute here because it shows that they know how much we love Toys R Us. And it's not just the toys, but it's the whole branding and the whole experience that Toys R Us gave us, right? We all want to be a Toys R Us kid. And I've seen in the comments a lot on these different posts from Toys R Us, you guys are loving not only Toys R Us, but Babies R Us, and you miss that. And so, there may be other things going on, but from the current stories that are out there around Toys R Us, they're trying to bring back a piece of that, and they're going to have a big emphasis on, can you guess it? Starts with an E. We just talked about it. Experiences in the retail locations. That's all I'm going to give you, though, because you can watch or listen to the rest on my podcast episode from yesterday. But just know that here again, they're talking about those experiences. And in this case, they're talking about retail locations, physical locations. Hey, Tabitha. Hey, Michelle. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you guys. So pay attention to these stories, okay? Now, as we get into the battle of live broadcasting, before I take us to our next story, which you probably already know about this, or maybe you don't. How many of you, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you are actively going live on a platform? Let me know in the comments, and feel free to tell me what platform you're going live on. And now I said actively because that just means that you can take that for once a day, once a week, once a month. I'm thinking just a regular basis. If you've only gone live a couple times, that's okay too. You can let me know. But I'm talking more about on a regular basis. I want to see who's doing what there. And the reason I bring this up is because social media is getting crowded. I was just talking about this actually with my trainer the other day, that there's no real big differences between the major social media networks. It all feels the same. And if you notice, a lot of our posts are the same on each network. Why? Because we're trying to cater to each network in terms of showing up and being able to deliver our content on those networks. And so, we try to make it different for each one, but then there's a lot of overlap, and it kind of feels like everything's the same, and there's nothing really new and just like blowing us away in the technology space for these social networks. Tabitha says, not yet, soon for Facebook, and LinkedIn, I heard, just had something new. We're going to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. So think about live broadcasting. Think about social media. Think about where you show up, why you show up. And ask yourself, are you feeling a little overwhelmed? Are you feeling that it's crowded? Do you even know what you're doing on there? And that's okay if you don't. You're not alone. And you may not post those in the comments, and that's fine, but think about that. So our next main story here is LinkedIn. So how many of you guys are using LinkedIn? And when I say using LinkedIn, I mean being active on there, not just having a profile. So how many of you are active on LinkedIn, or you just have a profile on LinkedIn? Let me know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. But LinkedIn just announced that they're going to start rolling out live broadcasting, which, if you're only on LinkedIn and only using LinkedIn, this is huge. It's huge. It's like, yes, finally, we get live broadcasting. But if you're exposed to all these other social networks, you're probably like, well, this is cool, I guess. I mean, they're kind of behind, aren't they? And that has come up in the comments on some of these articles that I've been reading about LinkedIn's new feature, which will be live broadcasting. So I want to talk about that for a second, because we can easily say we can be really quick to say, I should say, we could be really quick to say, oh, LinkedIn's so far behind. I'm guilty of saying that, especially when they came out with uploading video, which was not too long ago. I was thinking, well, how come that's taken forever? Like, uploading video should be kind of, years ago, because we've had photos, then video, and now we're at live broadcasting. So for them to just implement, I feel like 6 months ago or a year ago, uploading video, that was huge. Now they're implementing live video. And so yes, we can quickly jump up and say, oh, they're so far behind. But I want us to back up for a second and think about it. And of course, I don't know the details in terms of what LinkedIn will have specifically for the live broadcasting or what features and all that stuff. We don't know that yet. But what I do want to bring up is the fact that they may be late compared to Facebook or Periscope or YouTube Live, but they're not too far off. And if you think about it from a company standpoint, and I'm going with positive intent here, maybe LinkedIn, when they dropped their live broadcasting feature, maybe it's going to blow us all away, and it's going to have something so unique that none of the other networks have, that they're going to be racing to get and to implement. Imagine that. So let's not jump too quickly to say, LinkedIn, where you been? We've had live broadcasting, that was 2018. What can you bring us in 2019 that's going to wow us? We can't really discredit them or, say that they should have done this sooner, because maybe they have been watching how live broadcasting has developed over time for these other networks, and then they've been taking what works and what doesn't and piecing those parts together for their live broadcasting. Now, I don't know. I'm just saying and hoping that that is the case. And if so, then LinkedIn, well done. Very smart to pay attention to your competition and to make note of what's going on around you and to make sure that you're actively participating in those conversations and making sure that you're making notes, because it's all about note-taking. And I'm talking to LinkedIn, but I'm talking to all you guys watching or listening, because it's very important for us to pay attention to what's going on around us. Not just what's in our little bubble, not just what's on our desk or on our to-do list or in our email inbox, but having that world view, being able to see the different industries around us that can connect with us. That's how you stand out. So fingers crossed, LinkedIn will have a feature that will just blow us away in live broadcasting. But what I wanted to point out from the article is this quote, and I'm just going to read it to you guys here. The quote says, the company to explore other ways of monetizing. So the company, I kind of cut this out of the article here. LinkedIn wants to explore other ways of monetizing the content beyond ads. So they know that Facebook is all about the ads and YouTube and everyone else. So they're already putting a notice here saying that they want to go beyond ads. They want to see what they can do outside of ads, because let's face it, we don't like ads, especially when they pop up in the middle of a conversation and in the middle of a video that we're watching. Chances are you're going to leave. You're not going to finish that video. So that's where they're taking notes. Okay, so LinkedIn wants to explore other ways of monetizing the content beyond ads. For example, it could charge viewers for unique experiences like conferences, or make certain live events part of the company's paid tier to lure in more premium subscribers. On the part of the broadcasters, it could potentially provide fee-based services to provide a platform to broadcast certain content like video-based earnings reports. So it will be very, very interesting to see what LinkedIn does here, because they have given us a couple things here that are sharing. They're sharing with us a couple of these ideas of how they might monetize live video, because they're a business. And while LinkedIn is free to use to set up a profile, it's not free to keep the lights on. It's not free to pay people to monitor and to have the program and to add these features. Like, all that costs money. And as a business owner, or soon to be one, you know that. That's why you can't just offer free. You have to have other things, other levels. That's why you start with a freebie for your email opt-in, and then you work your way up to calls and one-on-ones and group trainings and apps and whatever case may be. It's different for everyone, but those are just examples. And so LinkedIn already knows that, yes, the live broadcasting feature is going to be available to their network, which is free to join. They also are thinking about, how can we monetize that? How can we make money from that besides ads? Which I will say, this is another thing I was talking about yesterday with someone, because everyone's thinking, oh, I just need to create an app and I'll be good. The problem with that, and I'm not trying to crush anyone's dreams, by all means, make your ideas come to life and really filter it out before you jump in all in with the money part. But my point is that when it comes to apps, especially, a lot of people just want to create an app. They get a great idea. They're like, I need to make this an app. And they don't realize that on average, building an app starts around 50,000. For social networks and things like that, it can be over 100,000. And yes, there's different ways now to kind of cut some of those costs, but you really have to think that it's not just about building the app, but it's also about marketing the app. Marketing is going to be expensive because there's always apps. How are you going to make your app stand out once it's created? You can't just post on Facebook, hey, I have an app, and everyone comes running over. There's so many things about that. And so you have the development, then you have the marketing aspect. And you can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to make money off of ads. That's not going to cut it. You have to have a really laid out, detailed version, several versions probably, of your business plan that's going to show how you're going to make money. That's always the question when you are having a business idea, is how are you going to make money? It's not a greedy question. It's a legitimate question, because if your business is not making money, then it's just an expensive hobby. And we don't want that. We want to be able to make money so that we can do what we love to do and be able to help others do what they want to do, right? So think about that. And I bring up the app idea just because I get that question a lot, and it's relevant to a lot of business owners. So think about that. But again, just pay attention to what's going on out there. Oh, I wanted to share with you also one more thing. If you haven't taken this poll yet, I'm going to show it to you. If you haven't taken this poll on my Facebook page, please do, because I am curious, because this ties into what we were talking about here for the live broadcasting. This poll is going to be right below this video if you're watching it shortly after this. But the question is, do you think these days it's better to pick one social media platform to be on and share exclusively on? Yes or no? Right now, we have about, 5 yeses, 10 nos. So I bring this up again for conversation because, like I mentioned at the beginning of this show, social media is becoming so crowded, and everyone's trying to be on every platform, and we're always trying to figure out what we can share, but we don't really want to create all this new stuff, so then we just share what we shared on Facebook to Instagram to Pinterest to LinkedIn to Instagram to Facebook, all over the place, right? So it's like, why? Why are we doing all of this? And why are we making it so convenient? This is a rhetorical question I'm just putting out there. I'd like to hear your feedback, so even if you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments. But why are we being so flexible and being on all these different platforms these days versus just showing up on one, for example, Facebook, and saying, listen, all my content is going to be on my website, on my podcast, on my Facebook business page, and my Facebook Lives. If you want me, here I am. I don't know. I'm asking because we're in 2019 now, and it's a conversation that has come up several times, and it makes me wonder. Again, that goes back to the beginning where we say don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't just build your business on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because if something happens to that platform, something will happen to your business. That's why it's important to have the website. That's why I mentioned website is where your content will be, and then a main social network like Facebook. So I don't know, I'm just putting that question out there, and I want to see what your responses are and what you think, because as social media becomes even more overwhelming and people are trying to take a step back and not post as much and not be on social media as much, I think it's a question that we have to ask ourselves this year. Is it still okay to try to be on every single platform and be active on all of them? Or is it really coming down to the niches, just like we talk about in business, and really focusing in on one main platform and really running with it and really grabbing that exposure and engagement? And again, there's so many factors that go into it, not only the platform, but are your people there? Is that something that you're comfortable with? Does your business make sense to be there? There's all these things that go into it, which if you need help, head over to edtroxelcreative.com and let's get on a call. But it's one of those things that I want to put that out there to you guys. So let me know, even if you're watching the replay, and we'll go from there. So I hope that this was helpful for you and that you enjoyed this episode. And if you need anything, you know where to find me. And we will see you back here next week. Have a great week and a great weekend. Take care, guys.